They shared laughter when no one was watching and leaned on each other when life felt close to breaking. Yet behind the smiles shown to the world, there was a deep quiet, heavy with pride, regret, and unspoken pain. For years, Elton John stayed silent about the true bond he shared with Princess Diana and the tension that nearly pulled it apart. Now he is ready to speak about the story that changed them both. Their paths crossed in the summer of 1981, a year etched into British history. Prince Charles was preparing to marry a young nursery school assistant named Diana Spencer, and the nation was captivated by the promise of a fairy tale. For Elton, already one of the world's most recognizable musicians, that moment became deeply personal. By then, he had already entered royal circles. The Queen Mother admired his music, and Princess Margaret, known for her sharp wit, often invited him to quiet gatherings at Kensington Palace. He played for aristocrats, dined with dukes, and even exchanged jokes with Prince Philip, who once teased him about driving a bright yellow Aston Martin around Windsor. Still, despite the glamour, Elton never truly felt he belonged, until one evening changed everything. The ballroom overflowed with chandeliers, diamonds, and quiet formality. Elton, unusually restrained by his own standards, sat at the piano, playing gentle melodies, feeling nervous among so many polished lords and ladies. Then he looked across the room and stopped. Diana Spencer had arrived, young, radiant, and not yet a princess. The atmosphere shifted, as if fresh air had entered the space. Elton later wrote in Me that she carried a rare ease, a natural confidence that put people at rest. Their eyes met. He offered a shy smile, and she answered with genuine warmth. Within minutes, they were talking like old friends, laughing about the awkward music, then miming the Charleston in the middle of the ballroom, carefree and playful. The moment was so unexpected that even the Queen smiled. Elton would later say, "That night I felt as if I'd known her forever." For Diana, that connection mattered deeply. She stood on the edge of a life shaped by rules, duty, and constant scrutiny. For Elton, she felt real and unguarded, quick-witted and deeply empathetic. He remembered her as wonderful company, the perfect dinner guest, lively, indiscreet, and deeply caring. From that night on, their bond grew, two outsiders finding rare understanding in each other. She was stepping into a life where freedom would narrow and loneliness would quietly grow. Without explanation, they recognized that ache in one another, and from laughter on a royal dance floor, a rare friendship began to take shape. Neither could have foreseen the sorrow that waited years later, or that Elton's voice would one day be asked to honor her farewell. As the 1980s and early 1990s unfolded, fame pulled at them from every direction, yet their bond remained steady. Surrounded by constant cameras, distorted headlines, and unrelenting public pressure, few understood what truly held them together. Behind the noise was something simple and enduring, a friendship built on honesty, comfort, and the courage to be open. When they appeared together at charity events, royal gatherings, or major concerts, the world saw smiles and playful ease. What it never saw was the quiet care beneath it all. Elton often said Diana had a rare gift. She could make even the most powerful people feel at ease, despite rarely finding that calm herself. She lived between expectation and emotion, duty and humanity. As her marriage to Prince Charles grew colder, rumors and distance filled the press, while inside Kensington Palace, she felt overwhelmed by traditions she never chose. Elton understood that isolation well, hidden behind bright costumes, hit records, and global fame. He was struggling with addiction, deep self-doubt, and constant public judgment. They recognized that pain in each other immediately, and from it grew a quiet trust that few could touch. During those difficult years, their friendship only deepened. Diana appeared often at Elton's charity events, especially those supporting AIDS awareness, a cause that mattered deeply to them both at a time when fear and stigma were widespread. She ignored protocol, walking into hospital rooms, shaking hands, and embracing patients without hesitation. Elton later said that single act shifted how the world saw AIDS, revealing her rare courage. She never chased image or rumor. She cared about people, sincerely and without performance. There were lighter moments, too. Diana's mischievous humor matched Elton's perfectly. She teased him about his bold clothes, while he admired how she could soften royal formality with effortless charm. He remembered parties where she laughed uncontrollably at his jokes, or quietly mocked the arrogance of the aristocracy with a knowing glance. Yet wherever Diana went, attention followed. At one private London dinner, both Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone were present, and both were clearly drawn to her. Elton later recalled how the tension between them became unmistakable, an awkward reminder of the powerful effect she had on any room she entered. He said they were completely taken by her charm, and it was clear she had a way of disarming even the biggest names in Hollywood. Yet beneath that glow, her private life remained heavy. She faced long, sleepless nights, quiet emotional struggles, and the lingering feeling of being deeply alone. Elton visited her often simply to listen. No cameras, no audience, no expectations. Just two friends stepping away from the weight surrounding them. As her fame grew, the pressure intensified. Her world became tangled with secrets and palace politics, and Elton worried constantly, knowing how dangerous it was when trust became uncertain. By the early 1990s, they were like siblings, teasing, arguing, relying on each other, then finding their way back. But even the strongest bonds can strain under fame and exhaustion. Soon, a misunderstanding would push their friendship to its lowest point, a moment neither would forget. By the mid-1990s, their connection was one of the most visible bonds between a global star and a royal figure. They had weathered public storms and supported each other quietly. Then, in 1996, something unexpected unfolded. A charity project close to Elton's heart became the turning point. He was preparing a special coffee table book featuring iconic artists, with all proceeds supporting an AIDS foundation that meant everything to him. Diana had agreed to write the foreword, straight from her heart. It was not a casual favor, but a meaningful statement. She had spent years challenging the stigma around AIDS, bringing humanity to those affected, and breaking long-held silence. For Elton, his involvement meant everything. Her name on the project stood as a sign of loyalty and shared purpose. Then, without warning, everything shifted. A letter arrived from her office, courteous but distant, explaining she could no longer take part. Elton later learned the reason. Royal advisors had intervened, uneasy about her association with a photo collection that included semi-nude male models. They felt it was inappropriate, and her participation was quietly halted. For Elton, the disappointment cut deeply.
It did not feel like a princess stepping back. It felt like a friend pulling away when her voice mattered most. Years later on Larry King Live, Elton admitted, "I wasn't too happy and I let her know." He sent her a message expressing his hurt. Diana, already under immense pressure, replied with what he described as a tense letter, sharp, cold, and final. After that, silence settled between them. Months passed with no calls or messages. Elton later said the pain came not from her withdrawal, but from the sudden distance. At the same time, Diana's own world was under strain. Her divorce from Prince Charles finalized in August 1996. She lost the title of Her Royal Highness, and with it, a core part of the identity she had carried since her early 20s. The press followed her relentlessly, while the palace offered little comfort. Surrounded by people with uncertain intentions, Diana no longer knew who she could truly rely on. Elton believed palace advisors had influenced her choices, though he also sensed she may have been exhausted by constant pressure. Whatever the reason, the damage was real. Two people who once shared laughter, heartbreak, and private truths were suddenly distant. It was awful, Elton later admitted. They had always been honest, but pride stood in the way. He could have called, but he did not. Nearly a year passed in silence. Elton continued his charity work, while Diana worked to redefine herself as an independent humanitarian. Both carried the quiet weight of an unfinished friendship, unaware that time was slipping away. Then came the call that changed everything. In July 1997, Italian designer Gianni Versace, a close friend to them both, passed away suddenly. The loss sent shockwaves through their worlds. Diana had worn his designs proudly and trusted him deeply. At his funeral in Milan, grief hung heavy in the air. That was where the moment arrived. Diana entered the cathedral and saw Elton sitting alone, visibly shaken. Months of silence dissolved instantly. Without hesitation, she walked to him, reached out, and gently took his hand. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "It was silly, our falling out. Let's be friends again." Elton later said that moment struck him deeply. It was not just an apology, but Diana showing quiet vulnerability and kindness in the midst of her own grief. True to her nature, she softened the moment with humor, as if no time had passed. He remembered her smiling and saying, "Actually, God, I'd love a polo." They laughed, and just like that, the distance between them disappeared. Their friendship returned, honest and renewed. They promised to see each other soon, unaware that it would never happen. In the early hours of August 31st, 1997, Elton was woken by his fax machine. A brief message expressed condolences, leaving him confused. He turned on the television, and his world stopped. Princess Diana had passed away following a car accident in Paris after being followed by photographers. She was only 36. Just weeks earlier, they had been laughing together, and now she was gone. The Spencer family asked Elton to perform at her farewell service. With Bernie Taupin, he reworked his 1973 song Candle in the Wind, opening with the words, "Goodbye, England's Rose." On September 6, 1997, inside Westminster Abbey, Elton sat at the piano as millions watched. It was not a performance, but a final tribute to a friend. The song later became the best-selling single in music history, yet Elton never took pride in it. He said it was not something to celebrate, but a scar that never fully healed. In the years that followed, he kept his quiet promise to protect Diana's sons, and when Prince Harry later faced intense media pressure, Elton spoke out, determined to shield him from the same intrusion Diana had endured. In the years that followed, Elton stayed close to both princes, often welcoming them quietly and keeping their bond far from public view. He later admitted that the brief distance between him and Diana in the 1990s stayed with him for a long time. "If I could go back," he said, "I would have picked up the phone. I would have said sorry. Life is too short for pride." He also believed that her decision to step away from his charity work was shaped by the unseen pressures surrounding her, a reminder of the quiet forces that always tried to steer her life. Their friendship was unlike anything the public had known, a royal figure and a rock star, connected by laughter, honesty, and the quiet loneliness that fame so often brings. Through Elton, the world glimpsed a Diana who was unguarded and real, someone who joked, teased, listened, and spoke freely when the cameras were gone. Through her, Elton rediscovered compassion and direction, growing into one of the most enduring voices for humanitarian work and AIDS awareness. Even now, when he sits at the piano and the room falls still, there's a brief moment, almost a pause in time, when he feels her laughter return in memory. As he once reflected, Diana showed that kindness and sincerity could still exist in a world driven by image and control. That is what made her unforgettable. Their friendship was built on truth, strained by pride, and preserved by a song that still lingers decades later. If this story moved you, feel free to share your thoughts below and consider supporting the channel by liking and subscribing. See you in the next story.